practicing law for 6 years. She is an active user of FOSS technologies. She contributes to Fedora project, and one of her major goals is to help FOSS developers with the legal aspect of software industry. So she will be talking about the software licenses for developers.
Good afternoon and welcome to this session. So let me tell you a story today, a story of myself. PyCon India 2012 was my first PyCon. I was feeling totally out of place. All of the alien words like module, commit, API, patch, etc. Suddenly I heard something familiar, that is license. I just ran towards the conversation and found out a very strange thing. All the conversations were having IANAL. What does that mean? And that is something that made the foundation for my talk today. This is a statutory disclaimer that this talk is not a legal advice. This is something which I opine. So before going to the story, a little bit introduction of the storyteller. Hi friends, I'm Anwesha. I'm a lawyer, a mother to a toddler whose name is Pi. So the love for Python runs in the family, you see. I'm a dancer. I'm also an active FOSS user. And I'm an organizer at PyLadies Pune chapter. I use Python to shape my legal projects. So as I mentioned in the beginning, IANAL, I found out this abbreviation means I am not a lawyer. So there were another different things happening to me. There were some keep safe distance kind of look, some respect kind of looks for me, and not to forget some, oh, I feel sorry for you, brother kind of look. I feel sorry for you. नहीं चलेगा? Okay. So there were some I feel sorry for you, brother kind of look for my husband. So all of these things together made me interested in the legal part of the open source world. And another strange thing was that everyone was actually shunning away from the legal part. Why is it so? Both lawyers and programmers use language as a tool to achieve a goal. But both of these species does not understand what the other is saying. So let's start the session with a hope. At the end of the session, we'll be able to understand each other. So what is this open source world? What makes this open source world work? There are basically two things. First, technology. Secondly, a community. And what makes a good community? A good contributor base. Secondly, a just administration. And thirdly, and very important component is a strong licensing model. Oops, here comes the tricky word license. So when I asked a few developers what do they mean by the term license, these are few very interesting answers which I got. The first one is license is something that protects my code. So this is the best one. The second one is I don't care about license, it bores me. At least 85% of the people I have met today thinks the same way. And another one is that you have to fill up the license name unless they won't accept the package in Fedora. This developer was so sad that he has to write a license name. So everybody is scared or avoids license. Let's understand license with a very practical analogy. So we use the term license in our day-to-day life. Where do we use it? In case of driving license. So what does a driving license do? A driving license gives us the permission to drive a vehicle on the road. Who issues the driving license? It is the motor vehicle department who issues the driving license. And who gives the motor vehicle department the authority to issue the driving license? It is the government or the sovereign. Same analogy, let us take the same analogy to our very own software license. What do a software license do? A software license gives us the permission to use someone else's software. Who gives us the permission? The person who has written the code gives us the permission. And from where he gets the authority? He gets the authority from an intellectual property right called copyright. And what is copyright? If we flip the word copyright, it is right copy. That is, right to copy or right over a copy. The definition of the term copyright goes like this. Copyright is an exclusive right to sell, distribute, and use a creation, an original creation, granted for a limited period of time by the government or the sovereign. So, there are two things which needs to be mentioned here. That is, firstly, we can use, sell, distribute, whatever the creator wants to do with his creation, can do it, and it is granted for a limited period of time. It is a time bound right. And what are the type of works on which copyright copyright is there? In what are the types of work that is copyright protected? Those are dramatic, musical, cinematography, film, sound recording, etc. So by saying this, it may frown some eyebrows that why software is copyrightable. So what do we do in software? We achieve a goal, we solve a problem through a software. And how do we do it? It depends upon developer to developer. It is their personal choice or personal expression. So this term, personal expression, makes a software copyrightable. So you guys can easily call yourselves a developer artist or a code poet. It is sort of cool, and I guess you guys like cool things. So let us understand license in a Pythonish way. Here comes my project. I don't think I need to explain this slide to you guys, because it would be like telling Avengers about SHIELD. But for the official record, it is PyPI, that is the Python package index. It is the third-party software repository for Python, and everyone here is using it, I guess. So what is my project? As I said in the beginning, I am interested in the legal part of the open source world, because that is something that makes the open source world itself. So I wanted to see the licensing scenario of the PyPI world, of the Python world. So there were some questions for which I wanted answers, like what are the licenses that are favored by the developers, how many licenses are there, and why the developers choose a certain type of license, etc. So I was sharing this idea with many people. I shared this idea with Kat Allman. She is the Science Outreach, Science and Open Source Program Manager at Google. She was quite enthusiastic about it. And at the same time, she has cautioned me it would be a huge project. A huge work indeed. 9 lakh almost 9 lakh packages in PyPI. So I just cut it short and made my survey over to top 2,500 packages of PyPI. For that, I need to find what are the top 2,500 packages of PyPI. here comes pypi-ranking.info as a savior. From here, I extracted all the top 2500 packages of Python. Then comes the second challenge, that I need to find license for each package. PyPI has a nicely maintained JSON API where you can go and find the information in the JSON format. So if you query about a package, you will get it in package information in JSON format. I have taken that and I have okay. My internet is not working, I guess. Fine. Yep. So if you go type a module name, I guess I'll be. I want the terminal. Okay. Yes, I want the terminal. Yeah, please you wait. Sorry for the distraction. So in PyPI, if you can get the module name, and after the URL, if you print JSON, if you type JSON, you will get a package information in JSON format. So as the Murphy's law says that anything can go wrong at any time, I have saved it, the requests module information in my laptop. So I'll be okay. So now let's check what is the type of data. Uh-oh. Yeah. So here shows that data is a dictionary. So let us see what are the keys inside this dictionary data. We'll be working on info. So the type of info is also a dictionary. Let us check what are the keys inside info. There's one called license. Now we need to know the value of license. So says Apache 2.0, that is Apache version 2. So I need to get my slides here. Yep, I am doing that. Yeah, got it. Yeah, thank you. This is what happens when a lawyer tries to do something like this. Sorry. So this is something I got. I got something like this. The license name for each package. So it is a huge some work if I do it manually, and with all these mistakes it will be taking me a lot of time. So I wrote a very simple Python script which found me all the 2500 packages, top 2500 packages license name. So when I put it in a chart, the chart looks like this. The chart looks like this. There are several licenses, as we can see, BSD, MIT, and there are two very special things, unknown and no name. Evidently, these are not licenses, and I'll be discussing about this a little later in my best practices for the developers. So I put the same data in a pie chart. So here BSD is 28%, MIT is 25%, not too there are not much difference. Both GPL family, that includes all the GPL versions together, and the Apache both has 12% of usage. As I mentioned earlier, unknown, I have found one license called unknown and no name. So when the developers are not mentioning any license name, it is coming as unknown. So there are more than 200 packages which has not for which I have got unknown response, and I am filing patches for each of those packages, and till now 11 of them has got merged. So it's a slow thing what I am doing, but I'm trying to make a little bit of change. So now let us revise what we have learned. What is software license? Software license gives us the permission to use and redistribute our software. Apart from that, software license is borrowing. There's another thing, that software license actually makes the boundary for your software. It actually decides the reach of your software. Why and how, we'll be discussing it now. So let us divide all the software we use, like all the software licenses we use, based upon how they control their downstream users. Firstly, it is the commercial licenses. The commercial or proprietary licenses gives us very restrictive rights. The source code is not open to the users. The users has to sign an end user's license agreement where all the rights of the users are written. The users can sign on it, like agree to it by signing it, or just by interactively on screen, that is by clicking it, or by opening the box itself. By opening the box, what I mean is that everyone is aware of the gaming software, so it comes in a CD box. So whenever you are opening it, this is called shrink wrap licensing. You're agreeing to that. You're agreeing to that license. So next come the open source. So here is the showstopper. So this is our way, the open source way. Actually, what does open source do? Open source license makes us promises, 10 promises. These 10 promises has been fixed by, written by OSI, the Open Source Initiative. So to understand these promises a little better, let us consider our software as a pizza. So under the open source license, not only you have the pizza but also the recipe for it. You can make your own pizza. So if you don't like the cheesy one, you can make a pineapple topping pizza, or you can do whatever you want to do. You can sell it, you can distribute it, you can share it, or you can play with it, which my daughter loves to do. So another very important thing is that it doesn't make your make you your derivative work that it doesn't compel your derivative work should be open source. So the next, what are the open source licenses? Let us consider. What are the open source licenses. What are the different kinds of open source licenses based upon how much freedom they are giving to their users. The first one is academic licenses. Many developers begin their conversation with MIT and BSD is for me because it's easy. MIT and BSD falls under the purview of academic licenses. As very much evident from the name itself, academic licenses have come from academic institutions, universities. There is no such strict preconditions to this license, to these licenses. There are only two preconditions: that you have to give the credit and you have to keep the copyright document intact, the copyright declaration intact. So this academic licenses, that is MIT and BSD, always carries a risk that it might be used in a proprietary software. It might be used for a proprietary software. A proprietary usage is permissible. So BSD, we call it in different name. 4-clause BSD is known as original BSD. 3-clause BSD is the revised BSD, new BSD or modified BSD. A 2-clause BSD, we call it simplified BSD or free BSD. There are many similarities between the two, but there is only one dissimilarity, that is BSD contains the binary requirement, which MIT doesn't. Then comes the permissive license. As we go by the name, permissive license gives us a lot of permission, but it is little bit stricter than the academic one. An example of permissive license is Apache. So Apache has different versions, and Apache has a very nice clause that is called grant of patent clause. What is this grant of patent clause? It's not going. So what is this grant of patent license? The grant of patent license ensures that the end users really can use the software without any legal threats regarding to patents. But it does not cover other copyrights like trademarks and other things. So imagine that you have a company that has a patent on a particular software algorithm. Then the same company releases an open source library that implements that algorithm. If it was licensed under a license that didn't include a patent grant, it could sue people using their open source license under patent law. By licensing the code under a license that includes a patent grant, a company is basically saying, we are not going to sue you for using any patents related to the software which we have made open source. So this is a very important promise that Apache license is making. The next one is reciprocal licenses. What does this term reciprocal mean? Reciprocity means correspondence. When you have a corresponding duty, when you have to do something in return. So, let's take a left turn. Till now we were discussing about copyright. Now we have taken a left turn. By left turn I mean copy left. So many a times we have this notion that copyright is against copyleft, or copyright has been pitted against copyleft. But copyleft is nothing that is against copyright or something. It is an hack which has been made around copyright. So through this copyleft, what we are doing, we are actually spreading the copyrights itself. So this is GNU General Public License. So there are actually 4 freedoms which is covered by it. First freedom to run your program as you wish. Second freedom is to modify it, is to modify the source code of the program. The third thing is to distribute, redistribute the software, the program, and the source code which you got. And the fourth one is to distribute your modified version so that the freedom continues. So here when we say free software, the free word is for freedom, not for as in like ek ke saath ek free kind of thing. So in the recent Google versus Oracle case, when Eric Schmidt said the acronym GNU stands for GNU is not Unix, the judge said in disbelief that it doesn't make any sense. And I felt the same thing when I heard it for the first time. But it is quite cool. So what does GPL actually says us? So what are the freedoms we got with the software? We should spread the same freedoms with the software when we are redistributing our modified version or distributing the thing which we have got. So it is not muft, it is mukt. So freedom as in not free beer, it is not free beer, it is like freedom. So we have gone through the different kinds of licenses. So now it is we have gone through permissive license and copyleft license. The main difference, the significant difference between this permissive license and copyleft license is that permissive license has always carries a risk that it can be used in a proprietary company, and it can be used in proprietary cases. But copyleft doesn't have that thing. So some copyleft requires it to make the changes available under the same license. So the difference between copyright and copyleft is this. Here comes something very interesting: public domain. We were discussing about this in PyCon India for quite a long time. So let us understand public domain by a simple analogy. What is domain? Domain means we use place. So public as in like general public. So public place or public property. Public place is public property. It is for everyone. So what happens in is public domain? Public domain is something when you are giving away your intellectual property rights. It is not a license. So there are different ways how you can dedicate your thing. You can submit your intellectual property rights into public domain. So I guess everybody knows that you don't need to apply for the copyright as you need to apply for patents. Whenever you are creating something new, automatically you are getting the copyright of it. So here comes the thing. When you want to waive all your rights, when you want to leave all your rights, then you are dedicating it to public domain. It is like when you are gifting something, you are giving away your right over that property. It is same in case of public domain. There are basically 3 ways to do it, to dedicate the thing in public domain, dedicate the intellectual property in public domain. Firstly, when the intellectual property itself has been expired, there are certain things to which intellectual property rights does not apply. It is inapplicable. There are some government jobs and all in which intellectual property rights is not applicable. Another thing is by waiving. So if for us in a software case, if you write public domain, that means you are waiving it. So when you just waived the right, you won't be able to get it back. You have given away the right, you won't be able to get it back. So if you want to dedicate something to public domain, how can you dedicate it? Just by writing that it is under public domain. Secondly, opting for Creative Commons 0, that is CC0. Another way is that unlicensed.org, or there is another website, unlicensed.org. You can go for it also. So here comes the best practices. The first best practice I want to say for the PyCon developers, please mention whatever license you choose for your slides for your presentation, and write it down as I have written CC by SA. Now the second one is, please choose a proper license. By proper license means license which fixes your aim, like if you want to choose a license for a module or a library, choose a permissive one. The license should be chosen based upon your use case. The second one is the license file in the source code. You should create one license file, that is license.txt file or license.md file, and the file should have the license name and the full license text to the document. The next thing is that add a copyright header to significant source code file. By significant I mean volume and importance both. The next one is in setup.py there is one license value. You need to write the license value, and also in classifier you need to write the license value. Mention the license name in readme file. If you have an introductory file where you have kept all the basic information for the project, please write the name of the license and refer the reader to the license file. So if you are concerned about patent, Apache is your thing. Please do not invent your own license. Lawyers know license better than you. So please keep their job to them. And even if after all these caution you invent your own license, please keep your funny bone aside. Don't write like get me a free beer or don't be evil. These things have different legal implications. So don't write these things. So there are different websites, there are different organizations who has nice lists. Open Source Initiative has a nice list from where you can choose your license. GitHub has created one. From here you can choose your license. It has nice directions. That is chooselicense.com. And choose a popular license. Even if you are confused and you are not sure what license to choose a popular license in which community you want to work. By choosing a license, you are basically choosing the community with the people you are working with. So choose a popular license that is popular in your community. So with that thought, I would like to thank here. Actually, Van is here. I'm like really delighted. Whatever I have learned, I've learned from his book. So what my learning is actually the Vanish way of learning the open source law. Another person I want to thank is Nick Coughlin, and Jared. Another person is Jared Smith. So thank you. And any questions you have, please connect with me. I am at Red Hat booth. So thank you. This is my Twitter handle and you can mail me over here. Thank you. Yeah.
So in the best practices, you had mentioned that we should have the license in each of the source code files, but as the
Each of the significant source code file.
not all, and
Not all. It's significant by mean, as I mentioned, by significant I mean volume and quantity, quality and quantity both.
what are the implications if I do not have it there? Like, because as a developer, like I would like to have it in one file, like license.md, in one place rather than having it in multiple files. Because if I have to update my license, I need to then update in multiple places, which I would not like to do.
That is a best practice. That is the best thing you can do. Like as a student, you should study, but all the time we don't study. But the teachers tell us that please study. So this is the thing. So you can be a naughty child. So it's your wish. But choose a license for your project. That is important. And you can't choose whenever you're choosing a license. Be very sure what you are choosing. It will stay for long. It will stay for the lifetime. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Anwesha.
Thank you.
So we have keynote in auditorium 1, and from 5 o'clock we'll have dev sprint in 107. So 107 and 108. So see you guys.